The stars burned cold outside the viewing port of Bastion Station. Commander Thelorin stood with his wings folded tight against his back, watching another ship explode in the distance. The flash of light was brief, then nothing. Another 100 lives gone in an instant. "Commander, the Western Fleet is falling back," reported his tactical officer. Her voice carried the exhaustion they all felt. "They cannot hold much longer." Thelorin said nothing. There was nothing left to say. For 300 years, the free races of the galaxy had fought against the Vexthor Empire. For 300 years, they had lost ground, lost worlds, lost hope. Now only Bastion remained, a single station orbiting a dying star, filled with the last refugees who refused to bow. The Vexthor were coming. Their vast armada moved like a dark cloud across space, swallowing everything in its path. High Empress Zarketh had promised to make an example of Bastion. She would show the galaxy what happened to those who resisted. Deep in the station's archive levels, historian Mulvek worked by the light of ancient data screens. His compound eyes scanned through files that most considered forbidden. Records of the humans. The humans who had vanished 4,000 years ago without explanation or warning. Mulvek had spent his entire life studying them. The humans had been the greatest civilization the galaxy had ever known. Not because they were the strongest or the smartest, but because they brought everyone together. Under human guidance, thousands of species had lived in peace. They shared knowledge, resolved conflicts, and built a future together. Then one day the humans were simply gone. Every human world stood empty. Their ships sat silent in orbit. Their stations responded to no calls. In a single night, billions of humans had vanished as if they had never existed. No bodies, no messages, no explanation. The galaxy had searched for answers. They found none. And without the humans to guide them, the old hatreds returned. Wars broke out. The Vexthor, who had always been aggressive but contained, saw their opportunity. They conquered world after world, building an empire on the ashes of human peace. Mulvek's claws clicked against the console as he accessed another file. He had a theory that no one believed. The humans had not died. They had not been destroyed. They had left on purpose, and they would return. Every culture had legends of the humans coming back when they were needed most. Mulvek believed those legends. An alarm made his antennae twitch. One of his monitoring programs had triggered. For decades, he had maintained watch programs on old human installations throughout the galaxy. Most had been destroyed or scavenged long ago, but a few remained, too dangerous or too isolated for anyone to reach. The alarm came from Sanctuary 7, a human outpost in the dead zone. The station had been silent for 4,000 years. Now it was transmitting. Mulvek's hands shook as he decoded the signal. It was simple, repeating in every known language and several unknown ones. "Patience. We are coming. Hold on." He had to tell someone. He had to tell the commander. Mulvek grabbed the data chip and ran through the corridors as fast as his 6 legs could carry him. Behind him, the station shook as Vexthor weapons struck the outer shields. On the command deck, Thelorin received the report of another fallen ship with barely a reaction. They had maybe 6 hours left. Maybe less. The civilian transports were trying to escape, but the Vexthor had blockaded every route. There would be no escape. "No mercy, Commander!" Mulvek burst onto the deck, his breathing labored. "Commander, they are coming." "The humans are coming!" The bridge fell silent. Several officers looked at each other with pity. The historian had finally lost his mind under the stress. Thelorin turned slowly. "Mulvek, not now. We have... Look at this!" The historian shoved the data chip into a reader. The message played across every screen. "Patience. We are coming. Hold on." "It could be anything," said the tactical officer. "An automated system. A malfunction. A Vexthor trick." "It is from Sanctuary 7, Mulvek insisted. "A human station that has been dead for 4,000 years. It activated 30 minutes ago. The same moment our shields began to fail. That is not a coincidence." Thelorin stared at the message. He wanted to believe. Every fiber of his being wanted to have hope. But hope was dangerous. Hope got people killed when they should have been preparing for the end. "Even if it is real," he said quietly. "What can we do? We have hours at most. The humans have been gone for 4,000 years. They are not coming in the next 6 hours." "Then we hold for 6 hours," Mulvek said firmly. "We hold because that message means something. The humans would not activate a beacon unless they intended to act. A young refugee named Piptel, who worked as a messenger on the bridge, spoke up with a trembling voice. My grandmother told me stories. She said the humans always kept their promises. She said they would return when the last light was about to go dark. Thelorin looked around his bridge. He saw exhaustion, fear, and desperation. But when Piptel spoke of the humans, he also saw something else. A spark. A tiny flame of hope. All ships, Thelorin announced into the communications channel. This is Commander Thelorin. We hold this position. We fight for every minute. The humans have sent a message. They are coming. He did not truly believe it. But his people needed something to believe in. If they were going to die, let them die with hope instead of despair. Outside, the Vexthor armada advanced. Inside, the people of Bastion prepared for their final stand. And far away, in the dark between dimensions, something ancient stirred and began to move. The evacuation transports lifted away from Bastion Station in groups of 3. Each one carried 1,000 refugees, mostly children and the elderly. They would try to break through the Vexthor blockade and reach the outer systems. Most would probably die, but Commander Thelorin had to try. He watched them go from the command deck, his heart heavy. Behind him, tactical displays showed the Vexthor forces repositioning for their final assault. General Krax, the Vexthor's most brutal military commander, had arrived personally to oversee the attack. The Empress wanted no mistakes. Sir, the archaeological team is requesting immediate transport, reported the communications officer. They have entered the human facility on the surface and are calling it urgent. Thelorin had forgotten about that expedition. 3 days ago, a team of scientists had detected unusual energy readings from ruins on the barren moon below the station. Human ruins that had been sealed for 4,000 years. The doors had suddenly opened on their own. Tell them we have no ships to spare, Thelorin began, but Mulvek grabbed his arm. Commander, please. If the humans opened that facility now, there must be a reason. Let me take a shuttle down. 10 minutes. Thelorin wanted to refuse, but something in the historian's eyes stopped him. 10 minutes. Not 1 second more. The shuttle dropped through the thin atmosphere like a stone. Mulvek could see the human facility from above. A massive complex of silver metal that had not tarnished in 4 millennia. The entrance stood open, lights glowing from within for the first time in recorded history. Inside, the archaeological team stood frozen in the main chamber. They had not moved since entering. They simply stared at what stood in the center of the room. She looked human, perfectly human, with dark skin and silver hair, wearing clothes of a style no one had seen in 4,000 years. But her eyes glowed with a soft blue light, and her body occasionally flickered like a hologram. Hello, she said, and her voice came from everywhere at once. My name is Dr. Kira Ven. I have been waiting a very long time to speak with someone. Mulvek approached slowly, his scientific curiosity overcoming his fear. You are an artificial intelligence, a human AI. I am what remains of Kira Ven, she replied. When the humans departed, they left behind guardians, watchers who would maintain their facilities and wait for the proper time. That time has come. Where did they go? Mulvek asked the question that had haunted him his entire life. Kira's form solidified slightly, becoming more real. 4,000 years ago, human scientists detected something terrible. A wave of exotic radiation moving through the galaxy. It would sterilize every world it touched, ending all organic life. The wave would arrive in approximately 4,500 years. The archaeological team gasped. Mulvek felt his stomach turn. Then we are all doomed. Not if the humans return, Kira said. They could not stop the wave with the technology they possessed. So they made a choice. They would leave this dimension entirely and go to a place where time moved differently, where they could evolve, grow, and become something powerful enough to face the coming extinction. That is impossible, said one of the scientists. Dimensional travel is theoretical. No one has ever achieved it, Kira smiled sadly. The humans achieved many impossible things. They left me and others like me to watch over their legacy, to activate their defense systems when the time was right, to prepare the way for their return. Can you help us? Mulvek asked desperately. The Vexthor are attacking. We have hours at most. I can give you days, Kira replied. The human defense network still exists. Satellites in orbit around every former human world. They have slept for 4,000 years, but they will wake at my command. She raised her hand and the entire facility hummed with power. Above Bastion Station, Ancient satellites flickered to life. They had been mistaken for debris and space junk for centuries. Now they showed their true purpose. The Vexthor fleet suddenly found themselves under attack from weapons they could not see or track. Energy beams lanced out from empty space. Ships exploded or went dark as their systems were disabled. General Krax screamed orders, but his forces could not fight what they could not locate. In 3 minutes, the human defense network destroyed or disabled 15% of the Vexthor armada. Then the satellites went dormant again, their limited power reserves depleted. But they had bought time. Precious time. Back on the moon, Kira continued her explanation. The humans wanted to save everyone, not just themselves. But they knew that if they stayed, they would fail. So they left, promising to return when they were ready, when they had become what was needed. How do you know they will return? Asked Mulvek. How can you be certain? Because I can feel them, Kira said softly. At the edge of space, at the boundary of dimensions. They are coming home. They have felt your suffering. They know you are in danger. And humans never abandon their friends. On Bastion Station, Thelorin watched in amazement as his sensors showed the Vexthor fleet in chaos. The reprieve would not last long. General Krax was already reorganizing his forces, positioning them beyond the range of the human satellites. But morale had changed. The crew worked with new energy. The impossible had happened. Ancient human weapons had activated to defend them. Perhaps the other impossible thing, the return of humanity itself, might also be real. Young Piptel brought Theloran a cup of heated beverage and smiled. They are real. The humans are real. My grandmother was right. Theloran wanted to caution against too much hope, but he found he could not. He had seen something impossible happen. What was one more impossibility? On the Vexthor flagship, General Krax stood before a holographic image of Empress Zarketh. The Empress was not pleased. You allowed ancient weapons to damage our fleet, she hissed. They took us by surprise, Empress, Krax replied carefully. But they are depleted now. I am advancing with the full force. Bastion will fall within hours. See that it does, Zarketh said coldly. And Krax, if the humans truly are returning, I want their technology. All of it. That is why I am coming personally. I will oversee the final assault and the claiming of human ruins throughout this sector. The transmission ended. Krax felt a chill run through his body. The Empress was coming. She would not tolerate failure. He turned to his officers. All ships advance. Destroy everything. Leave nothing alive. At the edge of charted space, sensors detected unusual readings. Energy signatures that matched no known technology. They were there, then gone. Appearing and disappearing like ghosts. A single ship materialized in the darkness. It was small, elegant, and made of materials that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Inside, a man sat alone in the pilot's seat. He looked human, but his eyes held the weight of 4,000 years. He looked toward the distant star where Bastion Station fought for survival. Hold on, he whispered. We are almost there. The ship vanished again, moving faster than light should allow, crossing distances that should have taken weeks in mere hours. The humans were coming home. Captain Sorath had flown patrol routes for the Coalition for 20 years. In all that time, he had never seen anything like this. His sensors showed a ship that appeared and disappeared randomly, phasing in and out of reality like a ghost. It was small, maybe big enough for 2 people at most, but it radiated more energy than a battleship. Unknown vessel, identify yourself, Sorath transmitted, his clawed hand hovering over the weapons controls. His crew of 4 watched their screens nervously. The ship stopped phasing and became solid. It hung in space before them, beautiful and terrible. Then a voice responded, and Sorath felt his scales prickle with instinctive fear. Coalition patrol vessel, I mean you no harm. My name is Marcus Chen, I am human. The bridge fell silent. One of the crew members made a sign against evil that his people had used for centuries. Humans were myths, legends. They had been gone for 4,000 years. That is impossible, Sorath said, but his voice shook. I know it seems that way. The voice replied, gentle and patient. I would like to come aboard and speak with you. We have much to discuss and very little time. Before Sorath could respond, the ship simply vanished. A moment later, proximity alarms blared. Something had materialized inside their cargo bay. Sorath grabbed his weapon and rushed toward the bay, his crew following. They found a man standing calmly in the middle of the room. He wore strange clothes that seemed to shimmer and shift. His skin was brown, his hair black, and his eyes were a deep brown that seemed to hold galaxies within them. He looked completely human. But the air around him crackled with energy. Electronics flickered in his presence. And when he spoke, Sorath heard the words in his own language, though he knew the human's lips had not matched the sounds. "Thank you for not shooting immediately," Marcus said with a slight smile. "That shows wisdom. I have a message for Commander Thelorin at Bastion Station. You need to take me there." "Bastion is under siege," Sorath said, his weapon still raised. "The Vex Thor will destroy it within hours. We were ordered to scout for possible escape routes." "I know," Marcus replied. "That is why I am here. The siege will not succeed. But first I need you to understand something. The humans did not abandon you. We left to become what was necessary. We went to a place outside normal space and time. We evolved. We changed. And now we are returning." "Why?" asked one of Sorath's crew members.
"Why leave at all?"
"Why not fight with us?" Marcus's expression became sad. "Because we could not win with the tools we had. We detected a threat coming that would end all life in this galaxy. We had perhaps 400 years to prepare with our existing technology. It was not enough time. So we went somewhere that time moved differently, where 4,000 years here would give us much longer to grow and change." "What did you become?" Sorath asked quietly. "Something more," Marcus said simply. "Watch." He raised his hand and suddenly the cargo bay was filled with images. They saw the universe from impossible angles. They saw energy and matter flowing like water. They saw the shape of space-time itself bending and twisting. They saw Marcus's ship accelerate past the speed of light by simply stepping sideways through dimensions. "We are no longer purely biological," Marcus explained. "We are part machine, part energy, part something that has no name in your languages. We have merged with our technology and evolved beyond it. We can manipulate the fundamental forces of reality. We have become what was necessary to face the coming threat." The images vanished. Sorath's crew stood in stunned silence. "You are gods," one of them whispered. "No," Marcus said firmly. "We are still human. We still remember what it means to care, to hope, to fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. We are just human plus 4,000 years of very hard work." "How many of you are returning?" Sorath asked. "All of us," Marcus replied. "Every human who left is coming back. Billions of us. Our ships are gathering at the edge of your space right now. But I came ahead because someone needs to survive long enough for us to arrive. Someone needs to see that we keep our promises." He gestured, and a star map appeared in the air. It showed the position of Bastion Station and the massive Vex Thor fleet surrounding it. "I will go there now. I will buy you one more day. The fleet will arrive tomorrow and this war will end." "One ship against an armada?" Sorath said. "Even with your power you cannot—" "Watch," Marcus interrupted. His form began to glow. The ship around them shook as power built to impossible levels. Marcus smiled one last time at them and then he simply disappeared. Outside, his small ship moved toward the Vex Thor lines. A patrol group of 20 battleships detected him and moved to intercept. They fired enough weapons to destroy a moon. Marcus's ship absorbed every shot. Then it returned fire. A single beam of blue-white light touched the lead battleship. The vessel did not explode. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there. The next moment there was only empty space. The other ships tried to flee. Marcus destroyed them all in 14 seconds. General Krax watched the destruction from his flagship and felt true fear for the first time in his life. "What was that?" "What destroyed my ships?" "Unknown vessel, sir," his sensor officer reported, her voice trembling. "It matches no known design. The energy readings are off every scale." "Is it the humans?" Krax whispered. Marcus's ship approached the flagship. A transmission came through on every channel simultaneously. "General Krax of the Vex Thor Empire. I am Marcus Chen, human. You have 1 day to withdraw your forces from Bastion Station. If you remain, you will face the returned human fleet. You cannot win. Choose wisely." The transmission ended. Marcus's ship vanished, leaving the entire Vex Thor armada in shocked silence. On Bastion Station, they had watched the entire encounter on long-range sensors. The command deck was so quiet that Thelorin could hear his own heartbeat. Finally, someone spoke. "They are real. The humans are real, and they are coming." Thelorin looked at Mulvek, who had tears streaming down his face. The historian had spent his life believing, and now his faith was proven true. "Send a message to all ships," Thelorin ordered. "We hold for 1 more day. The humans are coming home. Far away, Empress Zarketh received the reports of Marcus's attack. She read them 3 times, not believing what she saw. Then she stood from her throne and spoke to her assembled court. "Ready my personal fleet. I will go to Bastion myself. If the humans are returning, I will face them personally. I will not let them take my empire." Her courtiers looked at each other nervously. No one dared to tell the Empress that empires meant nothing to beings who could make battleships stop existing with a thought. The stage was set. One day remained, and at the edge of space thousands of human ships gathered, preparing to return to a home they had left 4 millennia ago. The day passed slowly on Bastion Station. Every minute felt like an hour. The Vexthor fleet had not withdrawn, but they had not attacked either. General Krax was waiting for Empress Zarketh to arrive with reinforcements. She came with 300 additional warships, the most powerful vessels in the Empire. Commander Theloran watched the Empress's flagship take position at the center of the armada. His sensors counted over 800 Vexthor ships in total. Even if the humans were as powerful as Marcus had demonstrated, could they truly defeat such numbers? "Sir, we are detecting spatial anomalies," reported the sensor officer. Her voice was tight with excitement. "Hundreds of them, all around the system. Energy readings are increasing exponentially." Theloran moved to look at the display. Space itself was tearing open in dozens of locations. Rifts of blue-white light appeared, growing larger by the second. And through them came ships, human ships, thousands of them. They were beautiful. Each one was unique, flowing and organic in appearance despite being made of advanced metals and materials that seemed alive. They ranged from small fighters to massive carriers that dwarfed anything the Vexthor possessed. They moved through space as if swimming through water, graceful and precise. More rifts opened. More ships emerged. Within 5 minutes, 10,000 human vessels surrounded the Vexthor fleet from every direction, and the human ships were still coming. "This is Admiral Sarah Okonkwo of the Human Defense Fleet," a voice transmitted across all frequencies. "We have returned home. Stand down your weapons and prepare to receive representatives." On her flagship, Empress Zarketh stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Her 800 ships were completely surrounded by an enemy force more than 10 times their size. She had brought her most powerful vessels, her best commanders, her finest warriors, and suddenly they all seemed like children playing with toys. "Empress, should we surrender?" asked General Krax quietly. "Never," Zarketh hissed. "Open fire. All ships, fire everything." The Vexthor armada unleashed its full arsenal. Enough firepower to destroy planets filled the space around Bastion Station. Energy weapons, missiles, kinetic rounds, and exotic radiation all converged on the human fleet. Not a single shot reached its target. The human ships created fields of energy that absorbed or deflected every attack. Then they responded, but they did not destroy. Human weapons targeted engines, weapon systems, and shields. Vexthor ships went dark and drifted helplessly, their crews unharmed but unable to fight. In less than 2 minutes, half of the Vexthor fleet was disabled. The other half stopped firing, shocked into submission by the overwhelming display of technological superiority. "I repeat." Admiral Okonkwo's voice came again, patient but firm. "Stand down. We do not wish to kill you. We are not here to conquer. We are here to protect." Empress Zarketh's hands trembled with rage and fear. She opened a channel. "I am Empress Zarketh of the Vexthor Empire. You abandoned this galaxy 4,000 years ago. You have no authority here." A new rift opened directly in front of the Empress's flagship. A single small ship emerged and approached. Inside, they could see a human woman with dark skin and close-cropped hair, wearing a uniform of silver and blue. Admiral Okonkwo herself. "Your empire was built on the suffering of others," Okonkwo said, her voice calm but carrying the weight of absolute authority. "It ends today. You will withdraw your forces and release all conquered peoples. Your choice is simple. Peace, or we will dismantle your empire ship by ship, world by world." "You cannot do this," Zarketh said desperately. "We are billions strong. We control half the galaxy." "We became stronger than you can imagine," Okonkwo replied. "Not to rule, but to protect. 4,000 years ago, we detected a threat that would end all life in this galaxy. We left to become powerful enough to stop it. We have succeeded. But we did not forget our friends. We did not forget those we left behind." On Bastion Station, Theloran received a direct transmission from Admiral Okonkwo. Her face appeared on his screen and she smiled warmly. "Commander Theloran of the Seraph people, I am Sarah Okonkwo. On behalf of humanity, I apologize for our long absence. We have monitored your resistance against the Vex Thor. Your courage in the face of hopelessness honors you. We are here now. You are safe. Thelorin felt his legs weaken. He sat down heavily in his command chair. Around him, his crew was openly crying with relief and joy. After 300 years of war, after generations of suffering, it was over. Why did you wait so long? He asked. We needed you centuries ago. Okonkwo's expression became sad. We could not return until we had changed enough. If we had come back too early, we would have failed to stop the true threat. We watched your suffering. We felt your pain. Every human felt it across dimensional barriers. It drove us to work harder, to push ourselves further. We evolved as fast as we possibly could, and we came back the moment we were ready. What are you now? Thelorin asked. What did you become? We are human plus 4,000 years of evolution, she replied. We merged with our technology. We learned to manipulate energy and matter at fundamental levels. We became partly biological, partly digital, partly something new, but we remained human where it mattered, in our hearts, in our values, in our promise to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out. Human ships appeared at every Vex Thor stronghold simultaneously. Conquered worlds were liberated. Slaves were freed. In some places, the Vex Thor fought. Those ships were disabled but not destroyed. Humanity had returned with overwhelming force, but also with overwhelming restraint. In the place between dimensions where humanity had spent 4,000 years, the experience had been very different. Time moved strangely there. What was 40 centuries in normal space had been nearly 1,000,000 years in their refuge. Generation after generation of humans had been born, lived, and died working toward a single goal, becoming strong enough to save everyone. They had merged their consciousness with advanced AI, allowing them to think faster and process more information. They had rebuilt their bodies at the cellular level, making them more resilient and adaptable. They had learned to manipulate the quantum field itself, granting them abilities that seemed like magic to others. But through it all, they had kept their humanity. They told stories of the friends they had left behind. They remembered the galaxy as it had been, full of diverse peoples working together. They held on to hope that when they returned, they could rebuild that dream. And they had succeeded. Empress Zarketh watched as her empire fell apart in a single day. Every world she had conquered was being freed. Every fleet she commanded was being disabled. And the humans had not killed a single person unless absolutely necessary for defense. She realized then that she had not just lost a war, she had been proven irrelevant. The humans were not conquering her empire. They were simply making it disappear, revealing it as the temporary thing it had always been. We surrender, she said quietly. Admiral Okonkwo nodded. You and your command staff will be taken into custody. Your people will be allowed to return to their homeworld. What they do after that is their choice. But the age of empire is over. The age of cooperation begins again. As Vex Thor ships began powering down their weapons, the people of Bastion Station emerged from their shelters. They looked up at the sky and saw thousands of human ships, beautiful and powerful, surrounding their station in a protective formation. Young Piptel stood at a viewing port, tears running down their face. They came back. Just like grandmother said, the humans always keep their promises. Behind them, Mulvek smiled, exhausted and relieved beyond measure. His life's work was complete. The humans were real. They had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. 3 months after the return of humanity, the galaxy looked very different. The Vex Thor Empire had collapsed completely. Conquered worlds celebrated their freedom. Refugee camps slowly emptied as people returned to their homes. Human ships traveled throughout former Vex Thor space, providing aid and protection, but not everyone was celebrating. In the Grand Council chamber on Bastion Station, now converted into a diplomatic center, tensions ran high. Representatives from hundreds of species had gathered to discuss the future. Many were grateful. Many were also afraid. You say you came to protect us. Ambassador Felnara of the Crystalline Confederation addressed President Chen Wei, the human civilian leader. But you possess godlike powers. What happens when you decide to rule us instead? What stops you from becoming the next empire? President Chen Wei was an elderly woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had been born in the dimensional refuge and had spent her entire life preparing for this moment. She stood calmly before the assembled representatives. "I understand your fear," she said simply. "You have lived through centuries of tyranny. Trust is hard when you have been betrayed so many times. I can only tell you that we did not evolve to become conquerors. We evolved to face a threat that endangers all of us, a threat that is still coming." Murmurs ran through the assembly. Commander Thel Oren, now serving as the coalition's primary representative, stood. Admiral Okonkwo mentioned this before. What threat? Kira Ven appeared as a hologram at the center of the chamber. The AI had been helping coordinate reconstruction efforts, her vast knowledge proving invaluable. 4,000 years ago, human scientists detected a wave of exotic radiation moving through the galaxy. It sterilizes all organic life. It cannot be stopped by conventional means. It will reach the core worlds in approximately 500 years. The chamber erupted in panic. 500 years seemed like a long time. But to civilizations that thought in terms of millennia, it was alarmingly close. "We cannot stop it," President Chen said, raising her voice to be heard. "But we can survive it. We can teach you to evolve as we did, not by force but by choice. We can share our knowledge and help you develop the tools to adapt. 500 years is enough time if we work together." "Why should we trust you?" demanded a representative from the Vexthor remnant, one of the few who had been allowed to attend. "You left us once. You might leave again. We left because staying would have doomed us all," Admiral Okonkwo said, entering the chamber. She had become the face of human military forces, respected for her restraint and wisdom. "We made an impossible choice. Abandon you temporarily to save you permanently, or stay and watch everything die. We chose the harder path, the path that required sacrifice and faith." She activated a holographic display showing the dimensional space where humanity had evolved. "This is where we spent 4,000 years. In your time. In ours, it was nearly 1,000,000 years. 40,000 generations of humans were born and died in that place, working toward a single goal. They never met you. They never saw this galaxy, but they were taught your stories. They learned your cultures. They worked to save people they would never meet because that is what it means to be human. We do not abandon our friends ever." Thelorin felt tears in his eyes. 1,000,000 years. 40,000 generations, all working to fulfill a promise made by ancestors they had never known. The scope of human dedication was overwhelming. "What do you want from us?" asked a small voice. It was Piptel, now serving as a junior ambassador. The young being had become something of a symbol of hope throughout the galaxy. President Chen smiled at them. "We want to rebuild what we had before. A galaxy where all species work together, share knowledge, and protect each other. We want to teach you what we learned so that you can face the future with confidence, and we want to do it as equals, not as masters and subjects." "How can we be equals?" Felnara asked. "You have powers we cannot match. You can destroy our fleets with a thought." "Power alone does not make someone superior," Admiral Okonkwo replied. "You have something we lost during our isolation. You have diversity of thought, fresh perspectives, and cultural richness. We evolved in a closed system. We need you as much as you need us. Together we become something greater than either of us alone." The debate continued for hours. Some representatives were convinced. Others remained skeptical. But slowly a consensus began to form. The galaxy had two choices: trust the humans and work together, or face the coming extinction alone. The decision was made. A new Galactic Council would be formed, with humans as one voice among many. Human technology would be shared freely, but each species would decide how to use it. No one would be forced to evolve or change. Those who wished to remain as they were would be protected, but those who chose to adapt would be guided. Far away on the Vexthor homeworld, Empress Zarketh sat in a simple room. She was no longer an empress, just a prisoner awaiting judgment. When Admiral Okonkwo entered, Zarketh expected execution or life imprisonment. Instead, the Admiral sat across from her. "Your people have voted. They have chosen to join the new Galactic Council. They have also voted to exile you rather than execute you. They want to move forward without more bloodshed." Zarketh laughed bitterly. "So I am to be cast out while my people embrace their conquerors?" "We are not conquerors," Okonkwo said patiently. "We are what we have always been: protectors, mediators, friends to those who will accept friendship." You have the power to rule the galaxy, Zarketh said. Why do you not take it? Because ruling is not the same as leading, Okonkwo replied. Because power without consent creates resentment and rebellion. Because we learned over 1,000,000 years of hard experience that cooperation achieves more than domination. You built an empire on fear. It lasted 300 years and collapsed in a day. We are building something that will last until the stars go cold. She stood to leave, then paused. You have a choice, Zarketh. Accept exile with bitterness in your heart, or accept it as an opportunity to become something better. Your people are choosing growth. You can too. The Empress sat alone after the Admiral left, considering words she had never expected to hear from a victor. Across the galaxy, human ships began the great work of reconstruction, but they did not work alone. Coalition engineers studied human technology, learning and adapting. Human teachers shared knowledge of genetics, energy manipulation, and dimensional physics. Young people from hundreds of species attended new schools, where humans taught alongside their own kind. Mulvek became the head of the new Galactic Archives, working with Kira to preserve the history of the past 4,000 years. So that we never forget, he said, what can be achieved through hope and perseverance. Commander Thelorin took a new role as military coordinator, working with Admiral Okonkwo to establish a true defensive force that included all species. For the first time in his life, he was not preparing for war. He was preparing for peace. Young Piptel studied at the new academy, learning human mathematics and physics alongside students from dozens of worlds. They dreamed of becoming an explorer, traveling through the dimensional gates that humans had begun to establish. On Earth, empty for 4,000 years, humans walked on grass and breathed real air for the first time in their lives. They cried at the beauty of sunsets they had only seen in recordings. They planted trees that would take centuries to grow, confident that there would be future generations to enjoy them. 5 years after the return, President Chen Wei stood before the Galactic Council for the last time. She was stepping down, her term complete. I leave you with this message, she said to the assembled representatives. 4,000 years ago, we made a promise. We said we would return when you needed us most. We kept that promise. Now I ask you to make a promise to future generations. Promise that you will face challenges together. Promise that you will choose cooperation over conflict. Promise that you will become something greater than you are today, because the true threat is still coming, and we will need everyone at their best to survive. The council voted unanimously to accept her challenge. The promise of unity, they called it. Every species pledged to work together, to share knowledge, and to prepare for the future as one people with many faces. On Bastion Station, now officially renamed Hope Station, a monument was erected. It showed a human hand reaching down to lift up beings of many species, while those beings in turn lifted the human higher. The inscription read, "They returned when all hope was lost. Together, we will face whatever comes." Piptel stood before the monument with their grandmother, who had lived to see the return she always believed would happen. Was it like you imagined? Piptel asked. The old being smiled. It was better, because the humans did not come back to save us. They came back to teach us to save ourselves. That is a greater gift than rescue. That is the gift of hope. At the edge of the galaxy, sensors continued to monitor the approaching radiation wave. It was still 500 years away. But now thousands of species worked together to develop the technologies and strategies to survive it. They shared ideas, combined their strengths, and built toward a future they would all share. The humans had returned, not as conquerors or saviors, but as partners. And the galaxy, united for the first time in 4,000 years, faced the future together. Whatever came, they would face it as one. Humanity had proven that extinction was not inevitable, that suffering could end, and that promises made across millennia could still be kept. The age of silence was over. The age of hope had begun. The morning sky above Geneva looked normal, blue with a few clouds. Nothing to show that today would change human history forever. Inside the United Earth Council building, 50 men and women sat in a half-circle. They were quiet, too quiet for such an important group. They all looked at the same thing, a small blue disk floating above the center table. The disk contained proof that the Galactic Empire had been lying for decades. Richard Hayes stood up slowly. As Earth's chief ambassador, he had spent 15 years talking with the Empire. 15 years believing they were friends. Play it again, he said. The disc glowed brighter. A voice filled the room. It belonged to Supreme Imperial Regent Zax Tull. The humans remain unaware of Compound K7's true value. Their oceans hold enough to power our fleet for 2 centuries. Begin secret extraction next month. If they discover us, tell them it's for medical research. Richard looked around the room. Some faces showed anger. Others showed fear. All showed determination. They want our oceans, said Lisa Collins, the Ocean Protection Director. Her hands shook as she pointed to charts on her tablet. This compound thereafter. It's what keeps our marine life balanced. Take it away, and our oceans die within 5 years. For 50 years, Earth had been part of the Galactic Empire. They called Earth a protected world. They shared some technology. They took Earth's resources. They said it was fair trade. It was not. We've suspected for years they were taking more than they admitted, said George Russell, head of Earth Intelligence. His gray hair and lined face showed years of worry. Now we have proof. Richard walked to the window. Outside, people walked and talked, not knowing their world was about to change. We've prepared for this day, he said quietly. Project Independence has been ready for 3 years. The question is, are we ready to use it? Project Independence was Earth's secret. Hidden, factories on the Moon and Mars had built weapons and ships. Underground bases held soldiers and supplies. All waiting for the day Earth would say no more to the Empire. The room grew silent again. Everyone knew what voting yes meant. The Empire controlled 10,000 worlds. Earth was just one small planet. Saying no to them could mean war. Council. Leader Maria Rodriguez stood up. At 72, she remembered Earth before the Empire came. 50 years ago, they arrived with their big ships and big promises. They said they would help us, guide us, protect us. Her voice grew stronger. Instead, they've taken our minerals, our plants, our water. Now they want to kill our oceans. I say no. I say it's time. One by one, the council members nodded. The vote is unanimous, said Maria. Project Independence begins now. Far above Earth, Commander Allison Wright received the coded message on Lunar Defense Station Alpha. 3 simple words. Independence Day begins. She took a deep breath and turned to her team. 20 men and women watched her, waiting. They all knew what the code meant. Activate the shield network, she ordered. Lieutenant Jack Morrison pressed his hand against the scanner. Lights flashed across the control room. Network activating, he said. All stations responding. For 3 years, Earth had built a network of satellites and space platforms. The Empire thought they were for weather monitoring and communication. They were actually powerful defense systems. Shield at 15% and rising, reported Officer Ben Howard. His young face looked calm, but his knuckles were white as he gripped his console. On screens around the room, hundreds of small dots lit up as the shield network came online. When complete, it would surround Earth's entire solar system. Imperial ships detected approaching Earth orbit, said Morrison. Regular diplomatic schedule. Allison nodded. Let them come. They don't know yet. The main screen showed a large, gleaming ship, the Imperial diplomatic vessel. Righteous Truth approached Earth like it had hundreds of times before. Inside were Imperial officials who thought they were arriving for normal meetings. Shield at 50%, said Howard. Enough to activate. Allison picked up a communication device. Her next words would reach every Imperial ship and base in the solar system. Attention all Imperial vessels and personnel. By unanimous vote of the United Earth Council, Earth hereby declares the Galactic Empire and all its representatives persona non grata. All Imperial citizens have 72 hours to depart Earth and its territories. After that time, any Imperial presence will be considered hostile. Earth's borders are now sealed. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Imperial ship stopped moving. They're trying to communicate, said Morrison. His screen showed incoming message alerts. Ignore them, ordered Allison. Send the evidence package instead. With a press of a button, the recording of Zax Tull's plans for Earth's oceans went to every news outlet on Earth, and to select allies throughout the galaxy. Shield at 75%, reported Howard. all weapon systems online. The Imperial ship hung in space, as if unsure what to do. Then slowly it turned away from Earth. "They're leaving orbit," said Morrison, surprise in his voice. "They're not ready to fight," said Allison. "They didn't expect this today, but they'll be back, and not for friendly talks." In her office in Geneva, Maria Rodriguez addressed Earth's people. Her image appeared on screens worldwide. "People of Earth, today we have declared our independence from the Galactic Empire. For too long we have allowed them to take what is ours. We have discovered their plans to harvest our oceans, which would destroy our marine ecosystems. We will not permit this. Earth is now independent." She paused, knowing her next words would shape humanity's future. "We do not take this step lightly. The Empire is powerful. They may try to force us back under their control, but we have prepared. Our defenses are strong. Our resolve is stronger. We stand together, united as one Earth." As night fell over Geneva, Richard Hayes watched the stars appear. Somewhere up there, Imperial leaders were learning about Earth's rebellion. He wondered how they would respond. His communication device buzzed. A message from an unexpected source. The ambassador from Proxima Centauri, another Empire-controlled world. The message contained just 5 words. "You are not alone. Stand by." Richard smiled for the first time that day. Perhaps Earth had friends. After all, the first day of independence was ending. Tomorrow the real challenge would begin. 3 days after Earth's declaration, the last Imperial ship left the solar system. The 72-hour deadline had passed. Earth stood alone. In the Imperial flagship Eternal Dominion, Supreme Regent Zax Tull called an emergency meeting. His 7-limbed form moved restlessly around the Grand Chamber as 20 advisors watched nervously. "How dare they?" he asked, his translator making his alien speech sound almost human. "In 10,000 years, no protected world has ever defied us this way." Admiral Krill, the Empire's military leader, stepped forward. His skin was blue-gray, his eyes cold. "The humans have activated a defense system," he said. "Our scans show it's more advanced than we expected. They've been hiding their progress." "A minor problem," said Zax Tull. "One small world cannot stand against the Empire. Send in the 7th Fleet." On Earth, in a hidden bunker deep under the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Susan Reeves monitored Imperial communications. Earth intelligence had broken their codes years ago. "They're sending the 7th Fleet," she told her team. "Estimated arrival, 2 weeks." Captain Alan Donovan stood at the back of the room. At 35, he was young to command Earth's most advanced ship, the Defiance. Built in secret using reverse-engineered Imperial technology, it was humanity's best hope. "How many ships?" he asked. 200, replied Susan. "Heavy cruisers mostly. They think this will be easy." "It won't be," said Alan. For years, Earth had been building its fleet in hidden facilities. Nothing as big as Imperial ships, but faster and more agile. 500 ships waited in secret bases on Mars, the Moon, and the moons of Jupiter. "All defense stations report ready," said Lieutenant Vicky Torres, reviewing data from across the solar system. "Shield network at full power." "What about the new weapon?" asked Alan. Susan hesitated. "Dr. Nelson says it's ready for testing, but not for battle." The new weapon was Project Sunflare. Based on technology Earth had developed independently, it could disrupt Imperial ship systems. But it was untested in real combat. "We may not have a choice," said Alan. "When do we deploy? The fleet?" "General Carter wants to wait," said Susan. "Let them come to us. Use our home ground advantage." In Geneva, the United Earth Council faced a different problem. The Empire's departure had affected Earth's economy. For 50 years, Earth had traded with thousands of worlds. Now those connections were cut. "Food supplies are stable," reported Agriculture Director Sam Wilson. "We can feed ourselves." "Medicine is more difficult," said Health Director Julia Martinez. "We depend on Imperial supplies for some treatments." Richard Hayes had been working day and night, contacting other worlds secretly. "I've heard from 7 now. Worlds willing to trade with us quietly, he said. They admire our stand against the Empire. Maria Rodriguez nodded. Good. We need all the friends we can get. On the 6th day of independence, Alan Donovan received his orders. The Defiance would lead a small scout force to the edge of the solar system. Their mission: gather information on the approaching Imperial fleet. The Defiance was unlike any ship humans had built before. From the outside, it looked small and plain, only 300 meters long. Inside was Earth's most advanced technology, all systems green, reported Navigator Paula Green as the ship left its hiding place near Neptune. No Imperial sensors have detected us. Keep it that way, said Alan. Stealth systems at maximum. 4 other ships joined them, all running silent. Together they moved toward the outer edge of the solar system, where Pluto orbited. Detection range in 1 hour, said Paula. Alan looked at his crew. 20 men and women, the best Earth had to offer. They knew this mission might be one way. If they spot us, we run, he reminded them. This is intelligence gathering only. No heroics. On the main screen, space looked empty and peaceful. But out there, 200 Imperial warships were coming. Each one could destroy a city from orbit. Contact, announced Sensor Officer Ed Miller suddenly. Multiple Imperial signatures detected. The screen changed, showing red dots. Many red dots. That's not the 7th Fleet, said Paula, her voice tight. That's too many ships. Count? Asked Alan. 450. No, 500, said Ed. They sent more than we expected. Alan felt cold. This wasn't just a punishment mission. The Empire was treating Earth's rebellion as a major threat. Send the data back to command, he ordered. Then prepare to withdraw. But before they could turn, a new alert sounded. Imperial patrol ships, changing course, reported Ed. They've detected us. 3 Imperial fast attack ships moved toward them. Each one was twice the size of the Defiance. Evasive action, ordered Alan. All ships scatter and run. The Defiance turned sharply, accelerating, away from the Imperial patrol. The other Earth ships did the same, each taking a different escape route. They're gaining, reported Paula. Their engines are faster than we predicted. Give me everything we've got, said Alan. And prepare Sunflare. Engineer Mia Johnson looked up from her station. Sir, Sunflare isn't battle-tested. It might not work. Or it might save our lives, said Alan. Get it ready. The Imperial ships closed in. Weapon systems activated. They're targeting us, said Ed. Firing in 10 seconds. Activate Sunflare, ordered Alan. Mia pressed a sequence of controls. A low hum filled the ship. Sunflare active. From the Defiance, a wave of energy spread outward. Invisible to human eyes, it targeted the specific frequencies used by Imperial technology. On the pursuing ships, systems began to fail. Engines sputtered. Weapons went offline. It's working, exclaimed Mia. Their systems are disrupting. Now let's get out of here, said Alan. Maximum speed back to base. As the Defiance raced away, Alan sent an urgent message to Earth Command. Imperial fleet larger than expected. 500 ships. Sunflare effective but temporary. They'll, be ready for it next time. In Geneva, the Council received the news grimly. 500 ships, said Maria. They're taking us very seriously. Richard Hayes checked his secure communications. A message had arrived from their contact on Proxima Centauri. We're not alone in this fight, he announced. 7 worlds want to meet with us secretly. They have technology to share. For the first time in a week, hope spread through the room. Earth might be outnumbered, but they were not without allies. The real battle was about to begin. 2 weeks after Earth's declaration, Commander Patricia Summers studied the star map in her ship's control room. Her vessel, the Unity, was small but fast. Its mission was secret, perhaps the most important secret mission in Earth's history. Are you sure about these coordinates? She asked her navigator, Kyle Bishop. Kyle nodded. His young face looked tired. They had been jumping through space for 3 days, following a complicated path designed to avoid Imperial patrols. The message was clear. These are the meeting coordinates. Patricia looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Imperial fleet was closing in on Earth. She needed to complete this mission before they arrived. "One more jump," she said. "Make it happen." The Unity entered jump space. For a moment, reality twisted around them. Then they emerged in a cloud of purple and blue gas, a nebula that didn't appear on any Imperial star charts. "Scan for vessels," ordered Patricia. "Nothing yet," said Kyle. Then his console beeped. "Wait, something's appearing. It's big." On the main screen, a massive space station appeared. It looked unlike anything Earth or the Empire had built. Its design was organic, with curved sections that seemed to flow together. "We're being scanned," reported Kyle. Patricia straightened her uniform. "Open communications, standard greeting." Before she could speak, a voice came through the ship's speakers. It spoke perfect English. "Earth Vessel Unity, you are welcomed. Please dock at entrance port 7. The others are waiting." "Others?" Patricia whispered to Kyle. "Looks like we're not the first to arrive," he replied quietly. The Unity approached the station. Patricia saw other ships docked around it. Each one looked different designs from different worlds. After docking, Patricia led a small team into the station. Inside, the corridors were wide and well lit. The air smelled fresh, with a hint of something like cinnamon. A tall, humanoid figure waited for them. Its skin was pale blue, its eyes large and silver. "I am Zora, Ambassador, from Proxima Centauri," it said. "We have been watching Earth with great interest." Zora led them to a large circular room. Around a table sat representatives from 6 other worlds. Some looked almost human. Others were very different. One seemed made of shifting crystal. Another floated above its chair. "Welcome, Earth," said a small, green-skinned being. "I am Neela from Tau Ceti. Like you, we've been under Imperial rule for too long." Patricia looked around the room. "You're all Empire worlds?" "Former Empire worlds," corrected Zora. "Or soon to be former. Your declaration has inspired many." Patricia hadn't expected this. She had come hoping to find one ally. Instead, she found 7. "The Empire has ruled for millennia by keeping worlds isolated," said Neela. "Each world thinks it stands alone against 10,000 others. But the truth is, many worlds are ready for change." A hologram appeared above the table showing the galaxy. Hundreds of points of light pulsed. "All these worlds have expressed interest in breaking free," said Zora. "They watch Earth now. If you succeed, many will follow." Patricia felt the weight of this news. Earth's stand wasn't just about one world. It could change the entire galaxy. "The Empire has sent 500 ships to crush Earth," she said. "We need help." "And you shall have it," said the crystal being, its voice chiming like, "Corsair, each of us brings something valuable." One by one, the representatives described what they offered. Tau Ceti had advanced shield technology. Proxima Centauri had developed faster engines. Others had weapons, stealth systems, even biological technology that could heal wounds quickly. "But most important is this," said Zora, placing a small cube on the table. "A quantum communicator." "What does it do?" asked Patricia. "It allows instant communication across any distance," explained Zora. "The Empire uses relay networks that they monitor. This bypasses them completely. With this, the Resistance can coordinate across the galaxy without the Empire knowing." For 3 days, the representatives shared technology and made plans. Patricia sent updates to Earth through the quantum communicator. Each message brought new hope to the United Earth Council. On Earth, in her laboratory beneath Mount Fuji, Dr. Olivia Nelson studied the quantum communicator designs from their new allies. "It works on principles we never considered," she told her team. "We can build more of these, but it will take time." "Will it help us against the Imperial fleet?" asked her assistant Roy Dixon. "Not directly," said Olivia. "But it changes everything for the future. No more isolation, We can coordinate with our allies instantly. In orbit around Jupiter, Earth's fleet gathered secretly. 500 ships against the Empire's 500, but Earth's ships were smaller, with less firepower. The coming battle would not be equal. General, William Carter addressed the fleet commanders from his base on Europa. The Imperial fleet will reach our solar system in 5 days, he said. Our new allies have provided technology upgrades that we're implementing now, but make no mistake, this will be the fight of our lives. Captain Alan Donovan prepared the Defiance for battle. The ship had been upgraded with Tau Ceti shield technology and Proxima engines. Will it be enough? Asked engineer Mia Johnson as they worked. It has to be, replied Alan. Everything changes now. In the darkest part of space beyond Pluto, the Imperial fleet approached. Admiral Krill stood on the bridge of his command ship, studying Earth's solar system. The humans think they can stand against us, he told his officers. We will show them the cost of defiance. He didn't know that his communications were being monitored. Every move he planned was reported instantly to Earth through the quantum network. They plan to split their fleet, reported Admiral Susan Reeves during an emergency council meeting. Half will attack our outer defenses, half will push straight for Earth. Can we stop them? Asked Maria Rodriguez. Not by direct confrontation, admitted General Carter. But we don't need to defeat them. We just need to show them that conquering Earth will cost too much. And we're not fighting alone anymore, added Richard Hayes. Our 7 new allies are sending ships. Not many, they can't risk open confrontation yet, but enough to help. On the quantum communicator, messages flowed between worlds that had been isolated for centuries. Technology was shared, strategies developed. For the first time, the Empire faced something new: unified resistance. In her quarters aboard the Unity, Patricia Summers prepared to return to Earth with representatives from the 7 allied worlds. They would bring their best scientists and engineers to help. The Empire thinks size and numbers are everything, said Zora as they prepared to depart. They've forgotten what it means to innovate, to adapt. Earth has been doing that for our entire history, said Patricia. It's what humans do best. As the Unity jumped toward home, Patricia looked at the star map again. The Empire controlled vast regions of space. Earth was just one small world. But something was changing. The Empire had ruled by keeping worlds isolated and afraid. That time was ending. The real fight for freedom was just beginning. The day of battle arrived. Throughout Earth's solar system, men and women prepared for war. In homes across Earth, people watched news reports and waited. Many prayed. Lieutenant Frank Martinez stood at his post on Mars Defense Station Bravo. The station orbited high above the Red Planet, one of 20 similar stations forming Mars's defensive line. The Imperial fleet has entered the system, he reported, his voice steady despite his fear. They've passed Pluto's orbit. General Carter's voice came through the communication system to all Earth forces. All units, this is General Carter. The key moment we've prepared for has arrived. Remember your training, remember what we fight for, execute Protocol Hydra. Protocol Hydra was Earth's battle plan. It looked like retreat but was actually an elaborate trap. From bases across the solar system, Earth's ships moved into position. They gathered near the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, forming what looked like a defensive line. On the Defiance, Captain Alan Donovan addressed his crew. The Empire expects us to make a stand here. Instead, we'll draw them into the trap. The trap was hidden throughout the asteroid belt. Hundreds of gravity devices that could disrupt space itself. Earth had been developing the technology in secret. For a decade, the Imperial fleet approached in perfect formation, 500 ships moving as one, their weapons powered up. They're targeting the Mars defense stations, reported Sensor Officer Ed Miller aboard the Defiance. As expected, said Alan. Hold positions until they commit. The Imperial ships opened fire. Energy beams struck Mars Defense Station Delta, destroying it instantly. The 19 remaining stations returned fire, their weapons small compared to the Imperial cannons. Station Bravo hit, reported Communications Officer Jane Wilson, Lieutenant Martinez's station. Alan felt a moment of grief for his friend, but pushed it aside. Begin withdrawal. Make it look desperate. Earth's ships turned and fled toward the asteroid belt. The Imperial fleet followed, exactly as planned. They're pursuing, confirmed Ed. All ships are following. Alan smiled grimly. Admiral Krill is predictable. He wants to crush us in one battle. As Earth's ships entered the asteroid belt, they split into smaller groups, weaving between the floating rocks. The Imperial ships followed, breaking their perfect formation to pursue. They're in position, reported Mia Johnson. Gravity web ready. Alan took a deep breath. Activate. In her control center beneath Olympus Mons on Mars, Major Nicole Harrison pressed her hand to the scanner. Gravity web activating. Throughout the asteroid belt, hidden devices powered up. The fabric of space itself began to change. Imperial ships suddenly slowed, their engines strained against invisible forces. What is happening? Demanded Admiral Krill on his flagship. Why are we slowing? His science officer looked confused. Some kind of localized gravity distortion. It's affecting our engines. Impossible, said Krill. The humans don't have that technology. But they did. And more. Phase 2, ordered General Carter. Earth's smaller ships, less affected by the gravity distortions they had trained to navigate, turned to attack. They targeted Imperial engines and weapons, using their greater maneuverability to strike and retreat. From the edge of the solar system, ships from Earth's new allies arrived. Not many, just 20, but they carried advanced weapons the Empire had never seen. We're doing damage, reported Admiral Susan Reeves from her command center. Their fleet is in disarray. For 3 hours, the battle raged through the asteroid belt. Imperial ships struggled to maneuver. Earth's forces struck from multiple directions, then retreated before the Empire could respond. On Earth, the United Council watched battle reports come in. For the first time, they allowed themselves to hope. We might win this, said Richard Hayes in disbelief. Then everything changed. On the Imperial flagship, Admiral Krill activated a device he'd been saving. Deploy the quantum pulse. A wave of energy spread from his ship, invisible but powerful. As it touched Earth ships, their systems failed. We're losing power, reported Mia on the Defiance. Everything's shutting down. Across Earth's fleet, the same thing happened. Engines died, weapons went offline, communications failed. What's happening? Demanded Alan as his ship drifted powerless. In her lab on Earth, Dr. Olivia Nelson saw the data and understood immediately. It's a quantum lock, she told the Council urgently. It's targeting the fundamental principles in all our technology derived from Imperial designs. Can you stop it? Asked Maria Rodriguez. Not quickly, admitted Olivia. It would take weeks to reconfigure our systems. Earth's trap had worked, but the Empire had a counter-trap. Now Earth's ships floated helpless in space. The Imperial ships are recovering, reported General Carter grimly. They're regrouping. Admiral Krill smiled coldly as his ship surrounded Earth's powerless fleet. Prepare to destroy them all, he ordered. Make an example of their defiance. On the Defiance, Alan Donovan refused to give up. Emergency power. Anything we've got. Nothing's responding, said Mia hopelessly. The quantum lock has affected all systems. Alan looked around his bridge. His crew waited for his orders, but what could he do with a dead ship? Then he remembered something. In his quarters was an old radio set, a hobby he'd kept since childhood. It used technology from centuries ago, before space travel. Before the Yosab Empire. Not all our technology is derived from theirs, he said suddenly. Mia, come with me. Together they went to his quarters and retrieved the radio. It was simple, just copper wire, crystals, and basic electronics. Nothing the quantum lock could affect. Can you build more of these? He asked. Enough to communicate. With the fleet? Mia studied the device. Yes, we have the materials. But what good is communication if we can't move or fight? One step at a time, said Alan. First we talk. Then we figure out how to fight back. Across Earth's fleet, Crews followed Alan's example. They dug out old technologies or built new ones from basic principles: radio, chemical rockets, mechanical systems that used no complex electronics. On Earth, Dr. Nelson had the same idea on a larger scale. "We need to go back to basics," she told her team. "The Empire has forgotten that humans survived for thousands of years before we met them." While Imperial ships prepared to destroy Earth's fleet, something unexpected happened. Earth ships began to move again. Not with their main engines, but with small chemical rockets hastily attached to their hulls. "What is this?" demanded Admiral Krill as he watched Earth ships slowly maneuver using technology so old that his sensors barely registered it. Earth ships couldn't match Imperial speed or power, but they could move enough to evade destruction, and they were adapting. "They're using chemical weapons," reported Krill's second-in-command in disbelief. "Actual explosives against our hulls." The Empire had protected itself against energy weapons and advanced technology. They had no defenses against rockets, bullets, and bombs, weapons they considered too primitive to be a threat. For the first time in his long career, Admiral Krill felt uncertain. These humans were doing the impossible. Their ships should be easy targets, but they kept moving, kept fighting with increasingly creative methods. "Fall back," he ordered finally. "Regroup at Neptune's orbit." As the Imperial fleet retreated, Earth's forces had time to adapt further. Dr. Nelson sent instructions throughout the fleet on how to create simple but effective systems the quantum lock couldn't touch. The Empire forgot something important, Alan told his crew as they worked to restore their ship. They forgot that limitations breed creativity, and humans are very, very creative. The battle was far from over. The Empire still had overwhelming force. But they were facing something they had never encountered before, a species that refused to be defeated by any means. The next phase of the war was about to begin. On the 10th day of battle, Earth faced its greatest test. The Imperial fleet had regrouped. Admiral Krill had studied Earth's primitive countermeasures and developed new tactics. Now his ships advanced again, ready to crush Earth's resistance, once and for all. Dr. Olivia Nelson worked without sleep in her laboratory beneath Mount Fuji. Around her, 50 scientists and engineers did the same. They had been studying the quantum lock that disabled their advanced technology. "I've found something," she said, her tired eyes suddenly alert. "The lock affects technology based on Imperial principles, but not our original Earth innovations." Her assistant, Roy Dixon, looked at her notes. "Can we use this?" "Yes," said Olivia. "We need to rebuild our systems using Earth principles only. No Imperial tech at all." The news spread quickly through the quantum communicator network. Earth's allies sent their own scientists to help. Together they began to rebuild Earth's defenses. But time was running out. The Imperial fleet approached Mars' orbit, now just hours from Earth. In the United Earth Council chamber, Maria Rodriguez faced the most difficult decision of her life. "We have two options," said General Carter. "We can surrender now and hope for mercy, or we can use our last resort." The last resort was a weapon Earth had built but never wanted to use. A network of antimatter bombs hidden throughout the solar system. If detonated, they would destroy much of the Imperial fleet, but also make large areas of space uninhabitable for centuries. "If we use it, we become what we hate," said Richard Hayes, "an empire that destroys without care." Maria looked at the faces around her. These people represented all of humanity. Their decision would shape Earth's future, if Earth had a future. "There must be another way," she said. At that moment, Dr. Nelson's voice came through the quantum communicator. "Council members, we found a solution, but we need every power source on Earth to make it work." Maria didn't hesitate. "You have it. Tell us what to do." On the Defiance, Captain Alan Donovan received new orders. His ship and 20 others would lead a desperate attack against the Imperial flagship, not to destroy it, but to distract it. "This is either brilliant or suicide," said his friend Jack Morrison, who had survived the destruction of Mars Station Bravo. "Maybe both," admitted Alan, "but it's our best chance." The plan was desperate, but simple. While Earth's remaining ships attacked the Imperial flagship, Dr. Nelson would activate a device that could, in theory, neutralize the quantum lock by creating a counterwave based on Earth's unique technologies. If it works, our fleet regains full power, explained Alan to his crew. If not, he didn't need to finish. Everyone knew what failure meant. The Defiance led the small fleet toward the massive Imperial flagship. They used simple chemical rockets, moving slowly compared to Imperial speeds. "They're coming straight at us," reported Admiral Krill's second-in-command. 20 small ships. Krill laughed. "A suicide attack? Let them come. Our shields will hold." The Imperial ships fired on the approaching Earth vessels. 3 exploded immediately. The others kept coming. "Evasive patterns," ordered Alan as energy beams flashed around his ship. "Make them work to hit us." On Earth, Dr. Nelson connected her device to power plants across the planet. Every light on Earth dimmed as energy flowed to her laboratory. "Power. At 80%, reported Roy. 90. 100. Ready?" Olivia took a deep breath. "Activate." The device hummed. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, throughout the solar system, Earth ships that had been limited to primitive technology suddenly came back to life. "We have power," reported Mia Johnson on the Defiance. "All systems online." Across Earth's fleet, the same thing happened. Engines powered up, weapons came online, shields activated. "How is this possible?" demanded Admiral Krill as his sensors showed Earth ships regaining full power. His science officer looked shocked. "They've neutralized the quantum lock, but that's impossible." In that moment of confusion, Earth struck. The Defiance and its sister ships, now at full power, attacked the Imperial flagship from all sides. Their weapons, enhanced by technology from Earth's new allies, pierced the flagship's shields. At the same time, Earth's main fleet, now fully operational, engaged the rest of the Imperial Armada. The battle raged across the space between Mars and Earth. Admiral Krill realized he had underestimated these humans again. "Call for reinforcements," he ordered. "We need more ships." But his communications officer shook his head. "Sir, we can't. Something's blocking our transmissions." The quantum communicator network, now linked to jammers throughout the solar system, prevented the Imperial fleet from calling for help. For 6 hours, the battle continued. Imperial ships, though more powerful, found themselves surrounded by smaller, faster Earth vessels. And now 7 allied worlds had openly joined the fight, their ships attacking Imperial supply lines. On his damaged flagship, Admiral Krill faced the unthinkable: defeat. A third of his fleet was destroyed or disabled. The rest were scattered and under heavy attack. "We can't win this battle," his second-in-command said quietly. "Not today." Krill had never retreated in his long career, but he was also not a fool. "Signal the fleet. Fall back to Alpha Centauri. We will return with more ships." As the Imperial fleet retreated, cheers erupted across Earth's ships and in control centers across the planet. They had won the first battle, but everyone knew the war had just begun. 3 days later, an Imperial diplomatic vessel approached Earth under a flag of truce. It carried not Admiral Krill, but a senior Imperial diplomat. In the council chamber, in Geneva, Maria Rodriguez and Richard Hayes met with the diplomat. The alien looked less arrogant than previous Imperial representatives. "The Supreme Regent has authorized me to discuss terms," the diplomat said. "Terms?" asked Richard. "What terms?" "Terms of accommodation," the diplomat said carefully. "The Empire recognizes that Earth has unique qualities." Maria and Richard exchanged glances. The Empire was not offering peace or recognition of Earth's independence, but they were offering to talk instead of fight. It was a start. "We will discuss your terms," said Maria, "and you will hear ours." On the observation deck of Lunar Station Alpha, Commander Allison Wright watched Earth rise above the lunar horizon. The blue planet looked peaceful from this distance. No one could see the preparations continuing on its surface. Lieutenant Jack Morrison joined her. "The Empire will be back," he said, "with more ships." "Yes," agreed Allison, "but we'll be ready, and we won't be alone. Through the quantum communicator network, more worlds were joining Earth's alliance every day. The signal of resistance was spreading faster than the Empire could contain it. "What happens now?" asked Jack. Allison smiled. "Now we build something new. Not an empire, but a federation. Worlds working together by choice, not force." In space above them, ships from 7 allied worlds orbited alongside Earth vessels. Soon there would be more. The Empire had ruled for 10,000 years by keeping worlds isolated and afraid. That time was ending. Earth had declared the Galactic Empire persona non grata. In doing so, they had started a revolution that would change the galaxy forever. The journey would be long and difficult. But for the first time in millennia, the future held something new: hope.